During the holy month of Ramadan, the nights they come alive with this special kind of devotion. And right at the heart of it is this unique prayer that brings whole communities together, filling the mosques with recitation. Today, we're diving into that beautiful night prayer known as Tarawih.
Okay, let's really get into this. For millions of Muslims, this isn't just a ritual, it's a full-on experience. It's that moment to reconnect, to find some genuine tranquility, and to feel a spiritual connection that really sets the tone for the entire month ahead.
So, what exactly is this prayer? Why does it hold such a special place in the hearts of so many? Let's build our foundation here, starting with its name and the incredible value it carries. The name itself, Tarawih, gives us a massive clue about what it's all about. It comes from a root word that means to rest. And that tells you everything. This prayer is meant to be done with a sense of peace and tranquility, not rushed. Think of it like a spiritual marathon, not a sprint, with these little breaks built right in.
And this right here, this perfectly illustrates the spiritual weight of it. The promise for observing this prayer with genuine faith, really hoping for that reward from God, is just immense. The forgiveness of your past sins. What a powerful opportunity for a fresh start.
So, how is this special prayer actually done? Whether you're thinking about going for the first time or you just want a quick refresher, let's break down the practical steps. And trust me, it's way more straightforward than you might think.
Okay, so the whole process is really simple, and it builds on things many of us are already familiar with. You start with a quiet intention, or niyat, just in your heart. Then, the prayer is done in pairs of units, which we call rakahs. After you've done as many pairs as you plan to, the entire night's worship is sealed with one last, odd-numbered prayer called witr. Simple as that.
And what I love here is how it shows the setting doesn't really change the core of what you're doing. It doesn't matter if you're finding peace, praying by yourself at home, or if you're joining the whole community in a bustling mosque, that crucial first step is exactly the same. A silent intention in your heart, dedicating the prayer to God.
And this is a really key point. That flexibility is built in for a reason. The Prophet Muhammad himself actually set the precedent for both. He led the prayer in the mosque for a few nights, but then he continued to pray it at home. Why? Well, he was concerned that if he kept leading it in a large group, his followers might start to see it as something absolutely mandatory, instead of what it is, a beautiful, recommended act of devotion.
Okay, so this brings us to probably the most common question people ask about Tarawih. How many prayer units, or rakahs, are there? You might go to one mosque and see them praying 8, and another praying 20. So what's the deal?
All right, first things first, and this is the most important part. This is a matter of valid, respectful scholarly discussion. It is not a source of conflict. Both practices are well established, and both have evidence that roots them right in the early history of Islam. So let's break this down. On one hand, you have the practice of 8 rakahas, which is based directly on what we know about the Prophet's personal night prayer. On the other hand, you have the 20 rakahas, which was a more formal practice established under the second caliph, Umar, and it was done with the full agreement of the companions at the time.
And this historical moment is so insightful, you have to picture it. Caliph Omar sees people praying in all these scattered little groups in the mosque. He thought, hey, wouldn't it be better to unite everyone behind one leader? So he established the 20 rakahs, partly to accommodate the community's amazing spiritual energy and their desire for longer Quran recitations. And in doing so, he formalized the large communal prayer that's become such a hallmark of Ramadan today.
All right, so we've covered the how-to, but just as important, if not more so, is the spirit of the worship. And to make sure that spirit is preserved for everyone, especially when you're all together, there are a few points of etiquette to keep in mind.
Look, the whole point of these guidelines is to make sure the mosque stays a place of focused worship for everyone. Things like dressing modestly and avoiding perfume. It's all about minimizing distractions when you're in a crowded space. And the reminders about watching your kids or not getting into idle chatter after the prayer, it's all aimed at preserving that shared atmosphere of reverence so every single person there can connect with their prayers without being disturbed.
So let's think about this. You've stood in prayer, you've fasted all day, you've put in the effort. The next crucial step is to protect those good deeds. How do we make sure that all our worship is accepted and that its reward isn't just lost?
This is such a powerful and humbling reminder from the Prophet, isn't it? It teaches us that worship is so much more than just the external actions. If the spirit of that worship, that consciousness of God, that effort to be a better person, doesn't carry through into the rest of our day, the acts themselves can become empty.
The sources use this incredible metaphor, I want you to really picture this. Imagine spending hours carefully spinning a strong, beautiful thread, only to turn around and completely unravel it. That's the image used for someone who does good deeds, but then cancels them out with sinful behavior.
So what are these leaks that can drain our spiritual rewards? Well, it often starts with our senses. After the prayer, are the eyes that were just lowered in devotion now turning to look at things they shouldn't be?
And the same goes for what we listen to. Are the ears that were just intently focused on the beautiful recitation of the Quran now tuning back into meaningless gossip or harmful speech?
And of course, maybe the biggest one of all, the tongue. A tongue that was just busy with praising God and praying shouldn't then be used for backbiting, lying, or slandering others. It's one of the fastest ways to unravel that thread of good deeds.
So what's the crucial point here? It's sincerity, especially when we're in private. This is a really stark warning. The true test of our devotion isn't just how we act in the mosque in front of everybody, but how we behave when we are completely alone and no one else is watching.
And that really brings us to the ultimate goal of all of this. Tarawih, fasting, all of it, it's all meant to build a constant, living awareness of God. A consciousness that doesn't just switch off when the prayer ends, but one that stays with us, guiding our actions in public and, maybe most importantly, in private.